My name is Bob Kruse, and we've been going to, I and my wife Monica have been going here to New Hope probably for about 7-8 years. And we were told when we left the church up in Conrad, which I went for 70 years, that people, they wouldn't know whether you're there or whether you're not. And that's why you're going to a big church. And we found out different.
Well, Bob, many in our audience have dealt with COVID in the past 2 years, and their experiences have varied greatly, some mild and some deadly. Give us an overview of when your symptoms first started to occur and how it was diagnosed, and then walk us through that.
About every year for the last 20 years, and I went and I got my doctor's what do I want to say, the last 20 years of
Checkups?
October to middle of February, I cough and I get a sore throat and everything else, and I figured this is what it was, and I was working up at the elementary, and I sat down and I couldn't get up. I thought, what is going on? And so I called Monica when I got home. I said, hey, there's something wrong. She said, what? And I said, well, I got a sore throat and I can't, I'm washed. I can't even get out of a chair. And she said, well, call the clinic. And I called the clinic, and the clinic couldn't get me in. This was on a Tuesday, and they couldn't get me in until Thursday. And so I called Monica back, and she said, well, call the ER in Grundy Center and at the hospital and see if they can do it. And I said, or get you in. And I said, okay, I'll try. Well, I thought maybe you ought to get better. All of a sudden the door opens in the house, and she says, it's Monica, and she said, you're going to Grundy Center. I said, okay. So I said, I don't know whether I can get in the car or not. Well, we got in the car and got up there, and they ended up going into the emergency room up there, and the doctor says, you're going to stay here. I said, what? He said, you're going to stay here. And I said, I can't. He said, I got too much going on. He said, well, you aren't going to do anything, I'll guarantee you. So next thing I know, I'm in bed in the COVID room. But they didn't say I had COVID. They said I had walking pneumonia really bad, and my lungs were filling up. So they put me on oxygen right away. And the next morning, shortly after dinner, I heard him talking. They said, we can't do any more for him. His lungs are filling up. And there's one machine in the state of Iowa, and there's one in Omaha, Nebraska that's not being used. And Mason City said they'd save it for you. And Mike said, okay, I'll load him up and take him up there. And he said, no, you won't. He's got to go by ambulance, because if you take him, he's going to make it. I go, gee, what is going on? So we get up there, and make a long story short, they get this big machine, and they bring it in, and they put a mask on me, which I was not very thrilled with. And they started it up, and it sounded like at Niagara Falls. It was so loud. The shade was shaking on the windows. I said, I can't sleep with that. They said, well, you will, or you'll be sound asleep. And so the doctor came in the next morning, and he said, now, I said, how long am I going to be here? And he said, well, until you get well. He said, average is probably about 6 weeks. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I said, I can't stay that long. And they said, you will. He said, the average is about 6 weeks. With that machine? He said, yeah, with the machine. I said, oh, okay. Well, we got along good. It was on a Tuesday night, got along good there. And Wednesday night, they said it was about 9 o'clock, I had an anxiety attack. Never had one in my life. I could crawl anywhere, go any height, never had. And they said it took 4 nurses to put me back to bed, because they said I was going home. I said, well, I don't remember that, not at all. Well, then they put me on medicine, so I was all right there. So next morning, the doctor comes in, and he said, see up here? He said, that's the That's what's going to, it's telling how much oxygen that this machine is putting into your body. And right now, he said it's at 60%. He said, good thing you're up here, you would have been somewhere else. And I said, well, we're already prepared for it. And everybody should. And I said, it's really not fair. I said, I have two friends that died with, they call it COVID now. Okay, that's what they call it up there. I said, I don't deserve it to be here, and good Lord took them. And he said, yeah, I said, that does happen. And then come to find out he was, he knew the Lord. And he said, well, he said, you're gonna be here you're just lucky you made it up here. I said, okay. But we have talked about, getting our cemetery plot and stuff like that. And everybody should do that. I know it's tough, but you better do it when you get past 70. You don't have two more years left. And so they would come in and, they would take my blood through about 4 times a day. And finally I told them, I said, you know what, I won't even be drinking water pretty soon because it's all going to leak out. They said, well, we do that to see how much oxygen is in your blood. And Doc came in and about 2 days later, every day, and came in 2 days, and he said, I said, how long am I going to be here? He said, well, you're really making progress. He said, you're down to 58 now. I said, oh boy, wow, that's really, He said, hey, young man, that is good. He said, you're doing everything you can do and everything you're told to do. And he said, that's good. Well, it went on for 3 weeks. And the fourth would be 3 weeks and 3 weeks and 6 days and about 4 hours. And they come running in the room and they said, are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Why? They said, well, look at up there, your oxygen is dropped down to 30%, that machine. And they said, we thought maybe the machine went bonkers or something. And my little brother, Dave, who was a minister, right after this, it dropped down to 30. He had called that morning about 8 o'clock, and he said, they're going to take your oxygen off. I said, what? He said, they're going to take your oxygen. Dave, they're not going to take my oxygen off, or I'm going to die. He said, no, you're not. He said, between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, they're going to take it off. I said, it's impossible. He said, nope. He said, it's going to happen. I said, how do you know? He said, don't ask questions. So about 9:45, nurses come running in. Are you all right? I said, yeah. They said, well, the machine says you're down to 1 or 2. And if you're down to 1 or 2, you can go home. This is only 3 weeks and about 6 days. I said, how can that be? I said, answer to prayer. It's got to be. They said, well, this has never happened on this floor. I said, really? I said, well, I said, that night, it was on a Sunday night, I felt really, I just relaxed. I could stay here, for 2 years. And I knew right away there was something, and he called. And they said, well, we're going to leave a little room oxygen on. And the doctor said, we called him right away and said, his support oxygen has dropped down to about a 1. And he said, what? He said, yeah, it's dropped down to 1. Well, if it's down there and everything's working right, he said, we'll take and do what we do all the time. You got to take a 16-minute walk. And if he passes that, he can go home with a tank of oxygen. I said, that means I can't drive the bus. They said, yeah, that's right, you can't. But you're going to take 4 weeks of physical therapy. 4 weeks? They said, yeah. It's about what the average is 4 weeks. I said, okay. So I looked up at the clock and it was 10:15. I about called Dave and said, Dave, you missed it 15 minutes. And so anyhow, they said, the doc said after dinner, he said, you tell him that if he can go 60 minutes on a walk. And I said, I was having trouble just getting to the bathroom, which was only, I was locked in that room for about 4 weeks, and I couldn't go nowhere. And the bathroom was probably maybe 15 feet, and I was having trouble even getting there. I said, doggone it, and said, we're gonna do this. I gotta get out of here somehow. And so it started, and ate dinner. Pretty soon a pulmonologist came in, the head guy, and he said, I've never seen this before. I said, yeah, that's what everybody's saying, but I said, the power of prayer. He said, it's gotta be, because he said, I've never seen this before. He said, you're gonna take that 16-minute walk. I said, yeah. He said, last time we couldn't even hardly make it to the bathroom. I said, I know it. But I said, I think I can do it. He said, well, he said, we're gonna put some oxygen under your nose again, and just for safety's sake. And he put a 20-foot tube on so I could go all the way down and all the way back. And we started, and pretty soon he says, stop. I go, oh, I flunked. He said, no, you didn't flunk. And he reached up and he took the oxygen off my nose and my head, took the tube and rolled it up, threw it on the bed, and he says, you're going home.
Amazing.
I said, what? He said, you're going home. He said, this has never happened. And I called Dave when everybody had left.
Your brother Dave.
Yeah, retired minister.
Yeah.
And he said, God told me it was going to happen. And I said, I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know what. I knew you were probably lying to me when you said they're going to take it off. The oxygen dropped. And we get home, and I thought, you know how it goes. You got to get a hold of them and get a hold of the physical therapist, and that'd take another week, and so on and so on. We got home, and we got in the car, and if you remember in, well, it wasn't early October, it just started pouring rain. And we come down, and I said, Monica, you want me to drive? She said, you want to go in the ditch? I said, no. She said, you're doing all right. We couldn't even see. Followed all the way home, and I thought, boy, I'm going to be able to sit on the patio and watch the football junior varsity and listen to the rain on the roof. Guess what? We got the kind of red sun was shining. It had quit raining there. And so we called physical therapy, and she said, well, we got to evaluate you. I said, okay. When is that going to be? She said, well, she said, probably I can do it tomorrow. I said, okay. She said, can you do it tonight? She said, well, if you want me to. I said, no, that's fine. I said, I couldn't get up the steps when I got home. I had to sit and back up. Mm-hmm. I thought, oh my gosh. They said, if you don't do any exercises and you just lay in bed for 3.5 to 4 weeks, you lose 90% of your strength. And I didn't believe him. And the doc said, I said, well, I really don't need physical therapy. And he said, yeah, you do. You'll find that out. Well, I did. I couldn't make it up the steps. I said, Monica, this isn't working. Why can't I just die and leave? And she said, nope, you're staying around. And so we got the physical therapy all lined up, and he said, well, you call a physical therapist, and he'll line you up when you can come. And so we got a hold of him the next day. He said, can I come this afternoon? I said, yeah. And so he said, boy, you're he said, I can't believe how strong you are from reading your doctor's report. He said, you shouldn't be able to even sit up. I said, they put your legs together, and they make your arms go up. And he said, can I start physical therapy tomorrow? I said, yeah, you start right now if you want to. And we started, and I walked, we figured out I could walk about a half mile in the house. And I got to about 3 rounds. It was over. I was about maybe a quarter of a mile or maybe something like that. And I said, I was so winded I couldn't even breathe. They said, "Oh, you're doing really good." I said, "Yeah, okay." And 2 weeks later, he said, "Nothing I can do for you." I was walking 1.5 miles, going up and down the basement steps 4 times a day, and it was a miracle.
Well, so there were times when you were really discouraged, really down.
I wrestled.
How did you get through those, Bob?
I wrestled with God.
Yeah.
I wrestled with Him.
I remember.
mean, we had a knockdown, drag-out fight, and he said, "It's going to work. It's going to work." I said, "Yeah, right." Here I lay. I said, "I got the Martins coming in New Hope," and I said, "That's gone." I said, "I got get up to the elementary. I'm the only janitor up there, and I'm not under contract, so that isn't bothering this any." But I said, "Something's got to be done." I said, "You took 2 of my 2 friends. Why didn't you take me and leave them?" Monica said, "He's got a plan for you." And I said, "Well, he might have a plan, but I think he gets what do I want to say, the address mixed up once in a while." She said, "I know you're ready to go," but she said, "You're not going to go. He's not going to take you." I said, "Yeah, that's what he told me."
Well, Bob, I know that we give the credit to the Lord for your
Amen.
recovery
Yep.
and your healing, obviously, and your therapy, getting through that as quickly as you did as well.
Yeah, all miracle.
What do you say to people, because there will be some who are watching this who lost loved ones to COVID. How do you comfort them? Do you have any words or encouragement to give them?
It's like I said, why didn't he take me?
Yeah.
They were real good friends of mine. They couldn't go to their funeral.
Well, as Monica said, he still has a plan for you then.
Yep, and she's still saying that. And we are bringing in the Martins. Can I put that on here? The 24th of April. And it's a thank you. The last time we heard them was a week before I ended up with this fiasco. And it cost $48 a ticket. We are thanking the church and the people of Central Iowa. I got 200 cards, over 200 cards.
Wow.
And what was really neat, probably 80 of them were from this church.
Well, how has this experience changed you? Are there some things in your life that you have a different perspective on now than you did before?
Oh yeah, I'm finding out that a lot of things aren't very important. You better know the Lord.
Okay.
Some people say they do, but in an experience like that, I mean, well, like I say, I wrestled with him.
Yeah.
And I know that Jesus was there.
So
There's no doubt about it.
first and foremost, a person's got to make sure they're right with the Lord.
You bet. Yep.
Okay. And then,
But that ain't going to solve your problem,
No.
though. That's not going to solve your problem. And I always look at Moses. You know, this is very hard for me to do. I could sing this thing through, because when you sing, you got a piano going, and if you mess up, the piano keeps going. But when you mess up talking, there's silence. And God, oh, I tell you, and I lost my smell, and I lost my taste, and I got about 40% of that, 50% of that back, but I can't sing.
so get your life right with the Lord and analyze and ask yourself what things are really, really important and what things only seem important.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
How
Everything else is nothing.
Are there other things that you want to share with us or that you've learned that would be helpful and a benefit to people who are listening or watching?
You want to be around Christian people who know the Lord. That's the only way I got through it.
It's important to have a family of God.
You bet. Yep.
Amen.
Yep.
Well, Bob, I appreciate you taking the time to come and share this with us, and I know it wasn't easy, but I'm pretty sure that God can use this to encourage other people.
He told me I was going to do it. I feel like Moses. You know, Moses, God said to Moses, "You're going to Moses, I can't do that." He says, "Well, you're going to." He said, I can't do it. And that's what it was with me. It's, I can sing it, but there's no way. Well, just see what happens. I just get emotional, and because it's such a wonderful thing, and yet it's not. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate your sharing and using your tough times and hard times to show how God has been faithful, and in doing so, encouraging other people who go through tough times too.
There's no doubt about it. It's a God thing, and it's not my way; it's His way.
Thank you, Bob. We appreciate and love you.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.